Hello and welcome to this video series on Elizabethan England, the final topic that you will be studying in your History GCSE, and arguably one of the weirdest topics we study because we're looking at the history of England 500 years ago, which is obviously very different to how England works today, but it is a period under the rule of Elizabeth I. Elizabethan England is where a lot of changes occur that set up the future and, to be honest, how a lot of the systems in the UK work today. But let's start. The way to understand Elizabeth is actually to have a look at her family, the family Tudor, because this family of ruling monarchs create a lot of change in Britain, but also set up a lot of the problems that Elizabeth is going to have to go and deal with later on in her reign. So let's start. When I said the name Tudor, you probably went straight to the guy at the top of this page. This is Henry VIII. He is a very influential king. He converts England to being Protestant and does a variety of other changes that have big lasting impacts. He's one of the things that we want people to study because of all those changes he makes. But you probably know that he had a bit of an issue having the children he wanted. He wanted a son to sire, and eventually did have one to become king after him, which was this next guy, who after Henry dies, Edward VI. Now, the thing is, Edward VI was only 9 years old when Henry died, and he becomes king and arguably doesn't really do anything. 9-year-olds don't have very many creative ideas, as I'm sure many of you know. So, Edward's reign is pretty much exactly the same as Henry's. He maintains Protestantism and doesn't do anything crazy. So we're going to move on. And well, lucky for us, Edward doesn't last long either. He dies at the age of 15, which moves the crown to the next person in line, a person who wasn't actually expecting it, which is Mary I here. Now, annoyingly, I'm covering up what it says here, but Mary I was a Catholic. She was Henry's first daughter and was a different religion to Henry, and to be honest, a different religion to most of the people in England. And because of this, Mary was not happy. The people in the country were not doing as she said, and she earned a bit of a nickname called Bloody Mary for, should we say, executing and killing many Protestants for their beliefs in religion. This reputation made her, should we say, quite negative, but after 5 years of reign, Mary was 55, which is actually quite an old age for people at this time, and Mary dies at the age of 55. Elizabeth is then the last left standing. She is not anticipated to rule at all. There's a whole story where she's been locked up in a tower by Mary because Mary was worried she'd rebel against her. But Elizabeth here is a Protestant ruler, returning the country to a Protestant ruler, and to be honest, didn't expect to become queen. It's come out of nowhere for her. She didn't see it coming, and frankly, she probably wasn't trained for it. See, Elizabeth being born second child, second girl to the king, means that she is a princess, and a princess's job is to be a member of the royal court, which means a number of good things for Elizabeth. She is taking part in, shall we say, the arounds of decision-making in England, and predominantly her role would be to get married to someone else in Europe to make a connection between England and that other country. But this changes things, her becoming queen. What you need to think about is what's good and what's bad about this Elizabeth setup. There is a page in the textbook that goes into more detail, but I'll cover some of the basics. See, some good things about her is that, frankly, she has been educated. She is not, should we say, someone who has been far away from rule. She has watched her family members do it and arguably has had time to think politically because she has watched many different styles of ruling. So all of this could make her a really good ruler. But she is completely untested. There is no evidence to say that Elizabeth is going to be good. She has never ruled before, and to be honest, most of her life she's been placed under suspicion by her sister Mary. And as well as that, 500 years ago, sexism is rampant, which we will talk about in a later video. What you want to be able to express and demonstrate that you understand is why Elizabeth might or might not be a good queen. And if you can vocally or physically write that out, you will do okay if this comes up in an exam. All right, I'll leave it there for this quick video, but thank you very much for watching. Please go and use textbook pages on Teams and all the other videos in this thread. Thank you very much. Goodbye.